Hi, this is Janet Smith. Let me show you some ideas of how you can use the 2 and 3 column sort activities. Okay, so when you have two things you might want to contrast or practice, that is a great use for the 2 column sort that I'm showing here right now. The example I have up here right now is practicing spelling words and deciding whether you're going to use AI, which you would use at the beginning or middle of a word, or you would use AY. So for this activity, I would give my student a word and I might type it up here in this work area, or they would type it up. And then once they succeed in typing it, they would put it in the correct place, or I could have kept that rule explanation up there and they could have just typed it down, picking the correct column that it would go under. And then once they succeed, they would see how many rings they earn. So this is a little bit of a chance element for the game. So you have two choices. If you roll a die, they could get up to 6 rings in one turn. So that's one thing you can do if you want the game to go more quickly. If you flip a coin, they could get either 1 or 2 rings in a turn. So you can decide which one you would prefer to do. So my student got 2. So what I do with these rings is I just pull whatever they get or I get down to the bottom, or they can do their own moving if you want. And then once all 10 rings, I would take a turn and roll for myself. And once all 10 rings are down, then whoever gets the 10 down first wins the round. And then you just simply start pulling them back up. And you start playing another round that way. So you just keep going up and down and back and forth, and you can play as many rounds as you would like. So some other ideas for 2 column sort. Other vowel teams like OI versus OY spelling. You could do a base word plus a suffix. You could put the combined word up here. And maybe in this column they would have to break it down and put the base word to here and the suffix in the second column. And you could do that. You could also do a comparison where they have to listen and you give them a word with either short I sound or short E sound, for example. And they have to listen and then put the word, after they identify the sound, spell the word under the correct column, indicating whether it's a short I or short E. You could do true and false. You could do before and after, or anything else that fits or suggests itself when you have a 2 column sort. If you're reading a story and you want to do a compare and contrast, you could use this for that as well. All right, so that's the 2 column sort, and 3 column sort is the same way, except this gives you an extra column, so sometimes there are certain things that would fit better in 3 columns. The example I have here is putting a word up and then deciding how you want to add the suffix ed or er to it. So if the word ends in E, they would have to take that E off and add the ed or er. If the word ends in a vowel Y, they would just add it, or a consonant Y, change Y to I. Or if it's a CVC word, they might have to double the last letter then add. So that's a practice activity for adding suffixes. You could do a good, better, best, where you're doing 3 different words with 3 different endings, maybe the base words under one suffix under the other, and a 3rd suffix is under the last column. You could do a prefix, base, suffix type activity where maybe you have the original word up here and then you break down the parts. Or anything. I'm suggesting things in my area of teaching, but anything that would fit 3 columns you can do here. And then again, you have your scoring tokens that you can use the same way if you decide to add that element to it and make it a little more game-like. So hopefully this gives you some good ideas for the 2 and 3 column sort.